I'm not talking about polls. I'm asking you a very simple question. You believe Donald Trump contributed to an insurrection. That's correct, right?
I stand by the statement.
You stand by the statement that he contributed to an insurrection. You believe that a president who contributed to an insurrection should be president again?
As does 51% of America, George. I mean, really, I understand you're part of the media. I understand you're in this New York City bubble or whatever it is, but you got to look around what's happening across this country.
This might actually be the most frightening interview that I've watched. That's New Hampshire's Republican Governor Chris Sununu being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos. And Governor Sununu says that regardless of if Donald Trump is convicted, regardless of if Donald Trump stole national defense information, regardless of if Donald Trump stole our nuclear secrets, regardless of if Donald Trump was trying to overthrow our democracy, that he's still going to support Donald Trump. And here, George Stephanopoulos makes that abundantly clear when he boxes Chris Sununu in, and you'll see Chris Sununu's answer. Play the clip.
That's how badly America wants a culture change.
So just to sum up, you would support him for president even if he's convicted in classified documents. You support him for president even though you believe he contributed to an insurrection. You support him for president even though you believe he's lying about the last election. You support him for president even if he's convicted in the Manhattan case. I just want to say the answer to that is yes, correct?
Yeah, me and 51% of America.
Governor, thanks for your time this morning. Up next, Arizona puts the abortion debate back in the...
And then again, Sununu says, why would anybody be surprised? I'm a Republican. Of course I'm going to support somebody, regardless of if they led an insurrection to overthrow our democracy and engaged in all of these crimes. Play that clip.
I'm asking whether you're going to be swayed by it. You're a governor. You're an elected official. I'm asking whether you're going to be swayed by it.
Yeah, look, nobody should be shocked that the Republican governor is supporting the Republican president.
And then New Hampshire's Republican Governor Chris Sununu says, nobody cares about criminal trials. They all blend together, and Trump's going to go out there and play the victim, and that's great, and none of these crimes even matter. These aren't big issues at all. Who cares if Donald Trump, if the leader of the Republican Party is a criminal? Play this clip.
Tomorrow, that criminal trial, will your support for Donald Trump continue even if he's convicted in Manhattan?
Yeah, this trial is not going to have major political ramifications that a lot of people, I think it may have. When it comes to these issues, people see it more as reality TV at this point. They really do. And so, whether it's a conviction or what that conviction looks like, a lot of folks, they conflate all four of these different trials that he's in. I don't think it's good that he's going to be in the court, have to be in there probably 3 days a week, for a number of weeks. That takes him off the campaign trail. He'll probably go back on the campaign trail and almost like rehash what's going on. He'll try to victimize it, and that has worked for him, right? I mean, this has been going on for over a year, and his poll numbers never seem to go down because of the issue.
Well, yeah, you're going to politics, though. I'm asking you about right and wrong. You think you're comfortable with the idea of supporting someone who's convicted of a federal crime as president?
No. I don't think any American is comfortable with any of this. They don't like any of this, of course. But I mean, when it comes to actually, looking at each of these trials, as they kind of take place, whether it's this year or next year, or as they kind of line up, right now this is about an election. Right? This is about politics. That's what people are judging this on. And the ultimate, decision will be in November to see where people...
And remember, Chris Sununu billed himself as a critic of Donald Trump. He supported Nikki Haley. He's someone who said that Donald Trump should not be running for office. But as Sununu's looking for the next phase of his political career, he's delusional, thinks that he's going to win over the support of MAGA Republicans as Donald Trump just mocks Sununu. Here we've got a clip of, just so you see, here's Donald Trump mocking Sununu. Play this clip.
Many say don't punch down when talking about people like Chris Sununu or Sloppy Chris Christie or Ada Hutchinson. I call him Ada, not Asa, because of certain reasons. Or others, but sometimes it's necessary to talk badly about those that for no reason other than politics speak badly about you. Otherwise, the people that love you don't know whether or not they're for real. Are they saying the truth? They're not. So sometimes you have to punch down and you have to say what's happening. Otherwise, they won't understand. It's not fair to them. You have to put them in proper perspective, these bad people. You have to put them in their place. People like this are very destructive, and you have to tell the voters what it's all about. Otherwise, why should they be able to understand it? Thank you very much.
And then Sununu says on this interview with Stephanopoulos what it is that he's why is he supporting Donald Trump? He's like, I'm not actually supporting Donald Trump. I'm supporting the fact that this is the Republican Party. And Stephanopoulos like, what are you talking about? You're saying you're supporting Donald Trump. I don't even understand how you're making that distinction. Play this clip.
About that. I hate the election denialism of 2020. Nobody wants to be talking about that in 2024. I think all of that was absolutely terrible. But what people are going to be voting for, the reason I'm supporting not just the president, but a Republican administration. That's what this is. They want a culture change in Washington. All the rules and policies that pound down on the American people. All the wokeness, right? The fact that folks in Washington, liberal elites in Washington, want to stand on the shoulders of hardworking American families that built this country, defended this country, and tell them how to live their lives. They're angry. They're upset. That's the culture change that people want to see. People are upset by January 6th. They're upset by the election denial. They have every right to be. I am. But at the end of the day, they need a culture change to get America back on track.
So, but wait a second right there. Your words were very, very clear on January 11th, 2021. You said that President Trump's rhetoric and actions contributed to the insurrection. No other president in American history has contributed to an insurrection. So please explain, given the fact that you believe he contributed to an insurrection, how you can say we should have him back in the Oval Office.
It's not, because for me, it's not about him as much as it is having a Republican administration, Republican secretaries, Republican rules, a sense where states' rights comes first, individual rights comes first, parents' rights comes first. We're going to have a pro-business economy. We're not going to have a cancel culture that has really infiltrated all across America. It's not about Trump with me. It's about bringing those more
but he will be the president.
Right? I'm the governor of the live free or die state, bringing that mentality back.
Look, folks, even Donald Trump's former vice president is not supporting him, right? Here's former Vice President Pence saying he's not going to support Trump. Play this clip.
We have not heard from you. Will you be endorsing your former president? You were on the ticket with him last time around.
Well, Martha, I appreciate the question. And it should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
And here's Pence saying that Donald Trump doesn't have any conservative values. Play the clip.
We go, sir.
Well, I can't speculate on it, but what I can tell you is that in each of these cases, Donald Trump is pursuing and articulating an agenda that is at odds with the conservative agenda that we governed on during our 4 years. And that's why I cannot, in good conscience, endorse Donald Trump in this campaign. But let me say one.
Here's Donald Trump's former defense secretary, Mark Esper, saying that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. This is the former defense secretary in Donald Trump's cabinet saying that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. Play this clip.
3 years after the attack on the Capitol, I'm just curious, Mr. Secretary, do you view Donald Trump as a threat to American democracy?
Well, first of all, good to be with you, Jim. It is a tragic day in our nation's history. And yes, I do regard him as a threat to democracy. Democracy as we know it, our institutions, our political culture, all those things that make America great and have defined us as, the oldest democracy on this planet.
And here is the interview that I conducted with Donald Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. And John Bolton says that Donald Trump is a threat to our national security and that Donald Trump's conduct should be disqualified. This is Donald Trump's own national security advisor. Play the clip.
If we go back to the 2020 debate, one of the jarring moments was Donald Trump saying, "Proud Boys, stand back and stand by." That was, a lot of people remembered that moment. Now Donald Trump gives these rallies. The first event he held of the campaign season was in Waco, Texas. But he starts all of these events with the January 6th anthem. He's taken our national anthem. He's changed the words, and he now sings the song with the January 6th rioters who are in the D.C. jail, some of the most violent of the insurrectionists who he calls to free, and he calls them hostages. How odd, how weird, How dangerous is that rhetoric? And what do you make of that?
Well, I think it shows Trump believes that he can win simply by mobilizing what he sees as his base. And I think the conduct that he displayed on January the 6th, all day long, basically, alone disqualifies him to be president. None of these people were in the Capitol on any legitimate business. And my own view as a law and order conservative is they all ought to be in jail for a very long period of time. I think January the 6th wasn't the worst of it, though. I think later when he said the Constitution itself should be suspended so that he could be declared the winner of the 2020 election. I mean, you're really in fantasy land at this point. But he talked about suspending the Constitution like you would think the ruler of a banana republic would say it. That is disqualifying. And it's obviously disturbing that people don't more widely see it that way, that they say, well, it's just Trump being Trump. And that's the danger. When he says these things, he's actually saying things he believes in. And it sometimes takes him a while. He talks about it and talks about it and talks about it. But then you find that he then actually acts on these things.
This is Donald Trump's former Attorney General, Bill Barr. Bill Barr. So here's what Bill Barr had to say. Play this clip.
But the fact of the matter is, he is a consummate narcissist, and he constantly engages in reckless conduct that puts his political followers at risk and the conservative and Republican agenda at risk.
Would he put the country at risk if he was in the White House again?
He will always put his own interests and gratifying his own ego ahead of everything else, including the country's interests. There's no question about it. This is a perfect example of that. He's like, he's like a defiant 9-year-old kid who's always pushing the glass toward the edge of the table, defying his parents to stop him from doing it. It's a means of self-assertion and exerting his dominance over other people. And he's a very petty individual who will always put his interests ahead of the country's, his personal gratification of his, of his ego. But our country can't be a therapy session for, a troubled man like this.
So why I said this is the most frightening interview I've seen is I always wondered growing up, like, how was it that someone like Hitler was able to take over Germany? How could a seemingly intelligent society give up all of their freedoms to somebody like an Adolf Hitler? And then I see what the Republican Party has become. And I see Sununus and the MAGAs who are so down the rabbit hole at this point. It is what it is. But like when you see someone like a Sununu say that, I don't care, crimes, insurrection, trying to overthrow our democracy, ripping to shreds the Constitution. Look, are you a Republican? Because if you're a Republican, then who cares about law and order? Who cares about crimes? Who cares about stealing our nuclear secrets? Who cares about toppling our democracy? That's how democracies die. That's how our freedoms are taken away. I give George Stephanopoulos a lot of credit for that interview. I think his questions were piercing, on point, direct, the types of questions that you should see. But take a look. Republicans, because of people like Sununu, the Republicans' most trusted source for information on Russia-Ukraine is Donald Trump. 27% trust the State Department. 33% trust journalists in the war zone. 56% conservative media. 60% Pentagon. 79% of Republicans trust Donald Trump, a Vladimir Putin lackey, because of people like you, Chris Sununu. So cowardly, so despicable. And the thing that he talks about all the time, in that 51% of Americans, what are you talking about? I mean, that's not even accurate. Everything they say is a complete lie. It's not 50. Trump's losing in the aggregate of all of the national polls now. And I don't want to dwell on polling, but Trump's losing. Everything they say is false. Everything is a scam. Everything they do is propaganda that we're used to seeing in North Korea, Vladimir Putin's Russia, authoritarian regimes, like Libya's Gaddafi, things like that. And that's what the Republican Party has become. Shame on that whole political party and what they've become. Mainstream Republicans, real conservatives, independents know what a danger these MAGA people have become. There's nothing normal about that, folks. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.